So today's debate is a very interactive debate. We'll be discussing a popular topic at the moment, which is all about using different products to make your hair from natural to straight. So there's a couple of products on the market. We won't name the name of them today, but the claim, I'm saying claim because I have not tried any of them yet, is to use these type of products to have your hair straight for 6 weeks. So one of the interesting reasons why I wanted to discuss it is because there's been many conversations online about does it work, does it not work. The different ingredients are actually in those products. Are they a semi-relaxer or a texturizer? So we want to hear from the bloggers as well as the experts in terms of what are their thoughts behind this. So first of all, let's go to Elle. What is your thoughts about the topic, the products, natural to straight for 6 weeks?
I think this product, well, it's very interesting. Personally, for me, it's not something that I would use, and that's for the simple reason that I think that, fair enough, it may offer people some kind of versatility, but then I believe that natural hair is versatile in itself. And for me personally, when I straighten my hair and it reverts a little bit, it just gives me that reassurance that I haven't done any damage or anything like that. What I do have a problem with the marketing behind these kind of products, especially with the word manageability.
Ooh, you're naming.
That word just, when I think about that word to describe these products, it makes me think, like, are they trying to say that natural hair is a problem and it needs to be, I don't like using that word manage, like hard to manage. That's what it makes me think of. And also it says, from doing a bit of research, that there are no harsh chemicals, but harsh chemicals by whose standards? There are still chemicals in there and that can, change the bonds in your hair and everything like that. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Thank you. So in regards to speaking to an expert such as Shirley MacDonald, the trichologist who has over 20 years experience, what's your thought about the products on the market to allow you to have your hair from natural to straight for a period of up to 6 weeks?
I don't usually use those because my job is to treat hair and scalp disorders, so I had to do some research to find out what it was. I think something that says that it changes the hair for 6 weeks, it changes the structure. So even if you're using something, amino acids, which the hair is made up of, with protein, there has to be a degree of change. There has to be some sort of breakdown. We've got S-bonds in the hair, so I think even though they're saying that, there is some chemical change, but they're playing with words. That said, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be harmful. It depends on your hair type, the texture that you've got, and how often you use these things as well. Because the other well-known one that was out before, that we're not going to mention, people have had their hair damaged with it. So again, it depends on the technician and the hair. And it sounds like I'm sitting on the fence, but I'm not necessarily saying that they're bad. I think we'd have to see. I haven't seen anyone that's used this particular one to see that it's caused any main damage. But yeah, anything that claims. Even when we used to use hot comb, you all know if you've got natural hair and you keep using the straighteners, over time the hair breaks down. So I can't buy into that this would return the hair back to its original state.
Thank you. So Rachel, you're a natural hair blogger who's been around for 3 years. Congratulations. And one thing that you speak about on your blogs is honesty, and you're very honest about your opinions. We're all honest, but you're vocal, I would say. It would be good to get your opinion as not just a natural hair blogger, but also somebody that has natural hair in regards to this new product. Have you used it? Did you find it helped? Why did you use it? What's your thoughts behind the product?
My general thoughts on the product is, I do believe it's created because there is a decline in relaxers at the moment. They're losing money, these companies. They need to make this money back. So they're saying to themselves, okay, there are women out here who still want to straighten their hair. How can we reel them back in a different way? It all comes down to marketing. It all comes down to how do we make money. It's a money-making industry, which I understand. But like Elle said, it's the way that it's being marketed as if it's needed. It's not a necessity. We don't need this product. There are people who have, options that they want to straighten their hair, fair enough. Me personally, I don't have a desire for straight hair. I actually went to the launch of one of these products, and the way that it was marketed, I felt it was very like, you need this. If you don't use this, then when you straighten your hair the way you've been straightening it, you're going to get damaged that way. And I feel that as a customer or a consumer, you've got to be very smart and very educated when you do buy products. You need to know what they're actually doing, because the heads of these companies don't look like us. They don't look like us. They just want the money. So you have to be very smart about what you're doing, because I don't see what the need for something like this. If I want to straighten my hair, I will straighten my hair the way I've been doing it for years. You just have to be very smart about how you straighten it in order for your hair to go back to curly. There are ways that you can do it without damage. The price point of these products are quite expensive as well, and you only get one use out of it. It's not something that you get and you can get 4 uses. You get 1 use and it's about £10. So all that money you can really invest in a good pair of straighteners, a good protein treatment, stuff like that. I just think it comes down to the marketing, and I think as people who are consumers, you just have to be a bit more educated. Take your time to research it. Don't just see somebody that's used it and think, oh my gosh, her hair looks amazing, it's moving, and da-da-da. Like, go and do your research, because what may not work for you may not work for her. You have to be very, very smart about it. And I just think sometimes when these products come out, people get a bit, caught in the hype.
What is it about the marketing that makes you think it's not a product for us, it's just more about selling a product to us?
One thing I must say, that when I did go to the launch, they had a demonstration video of how her hair went from curly to straight to curly. And when her hair went back to curly, there were curls at the back that did not revert. But they still felt that it was good enough to show to people. And that's me having a smart eye. Somebody else looked at that and might have thought, that's cool, it went back to curly. Her
her hair was actually looser than it was before. So that makes me think, what is really in this product? Because even at Afro Hair and Beauty shows, they were there as well, we were there, and they were marketing this product as, you know, it's amazing, it has no chemicals in it, it has no damage, it's just a leave-in conditioner. That's all it is. Well, if that's the case, I can go to Tesco and buy a leave-in conditioner and do the same thing. Things like that, you have to be, and they were giving it away for free, which makes me think, what are you really doing? Like, you want people to try it, so then eventually they get hooked onto it. There is a thing of being hooked onto a product, and I do feel that's the way they're marketing it. They're marketing it as, you need it. Nobody needs their hair to be straight. What for? What does that give you? I feel there needs to be more, you know, talk about why we have this desire for straight hair. And I feel companies, like I said, they're losing the money in the relaxers, so they're trying to find an alternative.
I would say that some would also say that natural hair is very versatile. So therefore, we can wear it kinky, we can wear it curly, we can wear it straight. So I personally don't believe that if we wear our hair straight that there's an issue. But what is it about, do you have a problem with wearing the hair straight, or is it the product itself?
No, I don't have a problem with straight hair. I straightened my hair for 10 years. I've always been natural, but I straightened it for about 10 years because I didn't know how to look after my hair in its curly state. Every hairdresser I went to didn't know how to do that. They didn't know what to do with my hair. And funny enough, these hairdressers are now big natural hairdressers who didn't have a clue 10 years ago. So if you want to straighten your hair, but do it the safe way. Do it the educated way. Actually do protein treatments, or, you know, find out, you know, what heat setting your hair is supposed to be on. Don't go on the highest setting just to get, you know, straight hair. The problem is that, you know, you can have the straight hair if you want, but do it the right way, because then when it gets damaged now, you've got to deal with that. And then you're going to have more problems for yourself. So I don't have a problem with people having straight hair. Do what you want to do with your hair. It's just do it with an educated mind.
Thank you. Desmond Murray, celebrity, hairdresser, multi-award winning hairdresser with over 30 years experience. On that note, 2 questions. What is your thought behind those types of products? But also, if a natural lady wanted to straighten their hair without damaging it, not permanently, how would she do that?
Okay, really interesting listening to what everyone's saying. I'm going to kind of throw a spanner in the works, so to speak. What's quite interesting, obviously working in the salon, you kind of you kind of keep your ears to the ground and you kind of see what's out there, what's new, etc., what's evolving. Now, for a hairdresser like myself, I provide a service, and you know, I always look what's new, what's going on, etc., how we can change things, etc. I embrace change, but it has to be something that works. So I always make sure that anything that I use, I'm pretty die-hard kind of hairdresser really. I've used mainly the same products for quite a while, and until something new comes along and blows me away, then that kind of changes my view. And I always get product companies knocking on the door all the time, you know, and you know, I always get other people to use it first, get their feedback, then see what's going on, see how the hair reacts, see if it's breaking, etc., etc. So, what's very interesting, and it's kind of changed my perception. I was very anti kind of the product that we're talking about, but our salon use different product from different ranges. They've used same product but from different product companies, and we've got this amazing product which, on the face value, I just thought, you know what, I just don't want to get involved here. But then I saw the results and I thought, wow, this is interesting. What's really nice, there is a niche in the market. Right, if someone's got a relaxer, say for instance, a lot of my clients got a relaxer, they've had enough of having so-called chemical relaxer, and they want to wear their hair a little bit more natural, but they want to wear it straight. So they want a little bit of straightness, but they want to relax it. And they so-called want a natural kind of thing to the hair. So this is where this product's come in really, really handy. Because in that one respect, you can do what it's called a treatment. Rather than a chemical, it's called a treatment. So instead of damaging the hair, it rebuilds the hair. Yeah, first and foremost. So it doesn't chemically straighten the hair. Apparently, it's a treatment. So it puts back it puts back proteins into the hair. So that's from what I know of it. Yeah. What's really great? I've been working with it for the last maybe 6 months, and I've seen a significant difference in clients' hair. But also, what's really interesting is I've got a fair amount of clients that they haven't got really Afro curly hair. They've got like Italian hair or Greeky kind of textured hair. That's the only way I can describe it, for argument's sake. And this one client, she's a celebrity, I won't mention her name, and I've been doing her hair for a while, and we had major problems because she had curly hair, and I've put extensions in her hair, put bonds into her hair, and what used to happen is she'd go performing around the world and stuff, she'd come back and her hair would be in dreadlocks. And I'd be like, oh. And anyway, so I said to her, and what's really interesting, because with this product you can colour, and then you can use the product on top, and then you could do whatever extensions. So that's what we've done. I advised to have this product done. And even now, all me, her, everyone, we're like, this is really, really big change in the hairdressing industry, because it's made the world of difference. Hair doesn't dreadlock anymore, the condition of her hair is better, and her hair's growing. As far as I'm concerned, I can see results. So, you know, I think there is a niche, but it has to be used properly. And what was the other question again? I completely forgot.
If you have natural hair,
yes,
a lot of us do hair, how would we be able to straighten it, not permanently, without damaging the texture of our hair?
It's a bit of a hard one. Obviously, you can blow dry it. So wash it, constantly blow dry it, and you'll get it obviously fairly straight. Depending on the texture you've got in the first place, you can get it fairly straight with natural products. With the product we're talking about, again, from my use of it, it does straighten the hair. To say to straighten, it softens the hair rather than straighten the hair. And it leaves hair in really good condition, and you know, you don't get the breakage, and it is a treatment. So I only can say, you know, I only can see good things about it. And as a hairdresser, as I say, I'm very, very critical in what happens, what I use product-wise, and what goes into my client's hair. And you know, and I'm very critical about new products as well. So all I can say is it's fill the gap in the market, and the clients that I do, they're raving about it, and they tell other clients. So you know, I think it's a two-way street. So I think my advice to everyone here is to do your research, and as you rightly said earlier on, I think it's down to yourself to do your research and make your mind up about it. But as far as I'm concerned, I only see good things, but it depends on what product. There's different companies make different things. So, you know, I think that's where the research comes in. And whoever you get to do your hair as well, make sure they know what they're doing, and they obviously, you know, they've been in the industry for a long time and they've got a good past track record. Okay?
Thank you. It's important to do your research, but if you're a novice about hair ingredients, such as myself, then how would we know what is right and what is wrong in terms of chemicals and ingredients to use on our hair itself? Because there's certain things we will know, but if we haven't had that the education via a college course or a degree, then how would we go about finding out that information and knowing that that information is right? Because the internet is a huge resource of information, some incorrect and some not. How do we know?
Okay, the only way I can actually answer that is, I think word of mouth is really important, and you know, everything that I do comes from word of mouth. To be honest, I do very little advertising stuff, so it's all word of mouth. So all I can say, again, even working in the environment that I work in, I use word of mouth. So I watch what other people's had, look at their hair, see if it's worked. If it's worked, it's great. If it hasn't worked, then obviously it doesn't work. A lot of my clients, you know, they rave about it, they tell other clients, and that's kind of where that's it's a snowball effect. So I think word of mouth, really, speak to people that have had it done, and then, you know, get some feedback that way. And that's the best thing you can do.
Thank you. Shirley, and your thoughts?
Yeah. I just wanted to say on what Desmond was saying, I was thinking through, and the question you asked last was, is there any way you can straighten the hair, you know, so that there's no damage? The answer in short is no, because once you're pulling curly hair, our hair grows in a spiral, and each kink is a weak link. So depending on the type of hair you've got, if it's quite strong, then it won't break, but you'll get breakage. With this product, the amino acids are protein, so it's good. So it's acting as a filler, and that's where it's coating the hair shaft and going in. So on that, it's good. But then you're applying heat, and then you're doing the pulling. So you could have the two things going on, but it really is on the condition of your hair as well. So I don't necessarily, as I said before, I was sitting on the fence, but I don't think they're necessarily as bad as relaxers, but you will always make some change. Whether you didn't use this product or not, if you're blow drying or you're using straighteners, you're changing their structure. Yeah. We have, the hair is made with a nest bond, and when you use relaxers, you break down some of these bonds, so you're left with very few. The reason why things like curly perm worked really well was because it rearranged the bonds and broke up down only a few, and then with the moisture, the hair was able to retain the moisture so it didn't break. This seems to be working on a similar principle. So the protein's there, it's thickening up the hair shaft, and then they're just using heat to rearrange it. But there would be some change.
Thank you. And that changes because we're using the heat.
It's probably the heat. I mean, if you think of any substance, it usually starts as something organic, so from a tablet, and then the way it's manufactured, the way it's processed. So it depends on the volume of how much amino acid. For example, if you're using a protein shampoo and you keep using them, it has a contraindicated effect because you're building too much on the hair shaft. So I always advise, I'm not a hairdresser, they tend to be better people to advise you, but I would say use a moisturising shampoo in between, because you don't want to be using a protein-based shampoo all the time. It's the same thing with this. You're going to get too much of a build-up if you were to keep doing it. Yeah.
So it's about having the correct balance of protein and moisture.
It is, and I think also the technician, I can't stress that enough. People who come in to see me, it's normally they've done it themselves, or the technician hasn't used the right, appropriate products for them. And sometimes people think the coarser, the thicker the hair is, the stronger, and in fact it's the weakest. If you look at the layers of our hair, how it's made up, our hair is very few layers, yet it looks so thick. You're looking at Asian hair, it's about 11 to 14 layers, European around 7 to 11, ours is about 4. It's really, really weak on those points, so the technician needs to know what they're doing.
And what's your thoughts about the marketing of these products?
I don't really mind that so much, because often with conditioners, with shampoos and so on, when you're around, these type of things, they've got to sell them, and yes, they are shifting, for a different market, because as you rightly said, it's probably down to relaxers not being sold. So I don't really have a problem, but it's when they completely miss lead. I don't know, do they say on this packaging that there's no damage at all, or at these events? Did they say no damage?
Did they say there's no chemicals? But they say that they don't say there's no damage, because I don't think they would ever say that.
Right.
But it's more about there's no chemicals, no harsh chemicals. That's what they're kind of branding it as.
Okay, so they're in the word no harsh chemicals. So you know they're expecting you to be able to, you know, recognise the harsh. So I'm not really sure in terms of whether it's misleading or it's just about advertising. They need to sell it, so they're not going to tell you everything about it, and so you have to sort of accept. But from my point of view, there would be change in the hair.
What about your thoughts of using the word manageability in a marketing product to market natural hair?
As far as I've been aware, it's always been used. Everyone uses it. Any shampoo that you see on there or anything on TV, they use manageability. It's even on the shampoos, you know, if you've got very fine hair or whatever, flyaway hair. So I think it's a word that's used all the time. It's a marketing word that's used when associated with hair, because that's a problem for a lot of women. And
hair in general, not just natural hair.
Yeah, not just natural hair. I've seen it across the board, so I haven't got a huge problem. But I'm not hairdressing, so I'm not looking in that way.
Thank you very much. So we're now going to open the floor to all of you. So if you've got any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Okay. This is where the fun begins. Can you introduce yourself and ask your question, please?
Okay, yes, my name's Louise Mohammed and I'm from Huddersfield, just down the road. And I'd like to ask Desmond, in your professional opinion, how often, whether you've got natural hair or not, should you be having your hair cut and trimmed? Because I probably haven't done mine for 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
I just find it hard to get my head around that you should go and have it done every 6 or 8 weeks.
On average, you have the ends trimmed every 6 to 8 weeks, on average.
Why is that?
Because when the hair grows, the ends, you tend to get split ends. If you don't trim the ends, they just go split all the way down the hair shaft, and then it just keeps breaking and breaking and breaking. So on average, yeah, every 6 to 8 weeks. I would actually use a really good conditioning treatment as well, just to keep it moist, etc., and keep it in really good condition.
And does it help your hair grow better if you actually cut it regular?
Well, it'll stop the split ends. So ideally, obviously it sounds a bit crazy because you've got to trim the ends to grow it, but ideally, if you stop the split ends, it will grow better. Theoretically. Yeah.
Anyone else? Yeah? Can you introduce yourself as well, please?
My name is Daphne. The question I'd like to ask is, when you have your hair cut every 6 to 8 weeks, what if you're a braider? You know, somebody that plats hair, you don't style it any other way. How can you then allow the braid to stay? Because it doesn't stay when you keep cutting it.
Was that a question to me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Right, so I think with braids or extensions, it's slightly different, because say for instance if like your hair's out and you blow dry or you do things with it, whether you go swimming, etc., and you know, whatever, generally, you know, the heat from the sun or whatever gets to it, obviously it will damage it slightly on the ends. So yes, you have your ends trimmed, etc., you have treatments. But if you have your hair in extensions or plaits, for instance, you're not really doing that much to your hair. So you can get away with it a little bit more. There is a bit more leeway there, if that makes any sense. So what I would suggest, if your hair is in plaits, when you take it out, whenever it is, just have a treatment and have the ends trimmed, and then put it back in plaits. Or if you've got extensions, do exactly the same with extensions. My clients, I advise them to do that all the time.
Can I just say that when you have your hair trimmed,
Yes.
is it a straight cut trim?
No, just the ends. It's
Just
not
the
cut.
ends,
A
just
cut.
nip it
A
off.
cut's like a restart haircut. I always say trim's like literally half an inch.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like some of my clients, they tend to use the word trim. When they want to trim, they mean they want to restyle a haircut.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. So ideally, they want their hair to be trimmed, but they want a restyle haircut. So I have to kind of find exactly what they want, because sometimes the definition can get lost somewhere in the middle. So I have to really sit down, give a proper consultation, and find out exactly whether they want a haircut or they want the ends trim, because it's two different things.
Right. It's only sometimes what I used to have it done on a regular basis.
Yes.
And I found that I couldn't plait my hair. Then after that, I have to put a little elastic band at the end.
Oh, because it's because the ends are fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, because it doesn't help if you're going to plait it, because you're creating fresh ends. But then, if you want your hair to grow and you want to keep it in good condition, then unfortunately that's kind of what you have to do. I know what you're saying, because it creates fresh ends, and that's the whole idea, really. But if you want your hair to grow, definitely treatment and having the ends trimmed does contribute a lot for hair growth, because it just keeps the maintenance of the hair and keeps the hair strong and keep it in its optimum condition.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Yeah? Oh, okay, I'm coming back. Your question and your name, please?
My name first. My name is Lorraine, and I'd just like to question about, I've been natural for about 6 years now, but I'd like to question about the colouring to use in natural hair. So I'm noticing that I've got two different textures, and towards the front and the back. And what sort of natural dyes are appropriate for natural hair?
Okay. Natural hair and colouring. Right. It's a very tricky one, because depending on where you want to go colour-wise, you can actually, say for instance, if you've got dark hair, so your base, roughly base 4, base 3, base 4, which I'm kind of a base 3. So base 4 is a little bit lighter, base 5's...
What does base mean? Base 1?
Oh, right, so, okay. Right, so, say for instance, if you look at the colour of this microphone, it's dark, isn't it? So you say that's a 1 or a 2, yeah? Okay. Anything that's slightly lighter, so my hair is slightly lighter than this, so it'll be probably a 3 or 4 maybe, yeah, if that makes sense? Yeah, so the base is just like what you see, whether it's really dark or slightly lighter. Does that make sense? The lighter it is, the higher the number. Yeah. So depending on the base shade, so if you're really dark and you want it to go fairly light, you've got to use a colour that's it's called a permanent colour, which you need peroxide to actually lift the hair to make it to colour it. Yeah, that's one way. Another way, you can use a semi-permanent, which there's two sorts of semi-permanent. There's a semi-permanent which is like, do you remember Crazy Colour?
Yes.
Yeah? Right. Crazy Colour, there's no chemicals whatsoever. It's a true semi-permanent, yeah? And I think it's got conditioning as well. Am I right or not? No, it hasn't got any conditioning. It's just a semi-permanent colour. Okay. So that's number one. There's another they call semi-permanent colour, which is there's a little bit of peroxide, which does obviously anything with chemical in it will do a little bit of damage, but it does minimum damage. But you can get a little bit of a lift, but it might give you loads of tone. So say for instance, if you've got dark hair and you don't want to lift it, you don't want to go brighter, but you want to make it like red, for instance, or like mahogany, kind of that kind of colour. It kind of might do that for you, but it doesn't lift it, but it will change the tone. Does that make any sense? So a true semi, like a Crazy Colour, will be perfect, will be really good because it doesn't do any damage. A semi that's got a little bit, they call them demis rather than semi, because it's a cross between a semi and also a permanent colour. It does lift it a little bit, but it does minimum damage. A lot of people tend to use, if you've got greys, tend to use, you can't use a crater colour, you can use a crater colour, but it doesn't, depending on how much grey you've got, if you've got more than, say, 50% of grey, you need something with a bit more oomph. So you either use a demi or you use a permanent colour. So depending on what you want to do, but I would actually stick to your true semis if you want something that's not going to damage your hair.
Thank you. So we have 3 other panellists who all have their hair dyed. So, including me, but I've been cutting mine off, so I've only got 1 inch left. So Elle, tell us about your experience of dyeing your hair.
My experience?
Have you faced any issues?
Okay. I got my hair coloured about over a year ago, and I got it done in a salon because I did want to go quite light. I can't say, apart from one random bit at the back, and I think that's because at the back my hair texture is a bit more loose, so maybe me having the colour in it, I noticed it more, but apart from that, I haven't really had any issues. I make sure I deep condition regularly, moisturise regularly. I can't say I've had to change my my regimen to suit that really, so I guess maybe I'm just lucky. But it's been a positive experience for me. Yeah.
Thank you. And Rachel?
I started colouring my hair about 2 years ago. I went to Aveda and got like a mahogany tint, but I've only ever coloured the same area, which is at the top bit. But before I did that, I used to henna for 2 years, and the henna wasn't giving me the red that I wanted. It was only giving me red in the sun. And I was like, I want everyone to see the red, I don't want it just in the sun. So I went to Aveda. I did research for about a year before I coloured my hair, because I was very like, I don't want nothing to fall out my head. So I went to Aveda, I got a tint, which is mahogany. Then I got bored with that after 6 months. I went to my salon that I go to and got my hair bleached from about here downwards, because I wanted the ombre effect. Then I got bored of that after about 6 months, and I went back in October and got it bleached again, which I was a bit, you know, like, Rachel, what are you really doing? But I did trust my hairdresser, and one thing I will say, if you're going to go get colour done, get a consultation, because that is one of the most safest things you can do, because then you can actually talk to your hairstylist and talk about what they're going to use in your hair, how they're going to do it, so you're a bit more reassured, because I think sometimes when people go to the salon and they get their hair coloured, they haven't spoken about what's going to happen, and they come out disappointed because there's been no communication. So every time, no matter if it's the same person, I go and get a consultation, and then that colour started to get boring. So this has been for about 5 days. I've had this colour. This is crazy colour. I put it over the bleach that I had, but I've had no problems because I always deep condition my hair. I have a routine, a regimen that sticks. My texture hasn't loosened. The back of my hair is the same texture as the front, so I haven't had any problems. I just think it's one thing that I read, it's not colour that damages your hair, it's the way you maintain it that damages your hair. So I think that's what you have to be a bit more educated about.
Thank you. And Shirley?
I like that, the last bit that you said. As you can see, of all of us, mine is like, because mine's short, I can get away with it, so it doesn't break. I keep it short so that I can bleach it, and I bleach the hell out of it. It's light in comparison to, it's at number 8. This is 8.3. So if you're looking at the numbers, sometimes I go to 10, sometimes I go to 11. Okay, but I have got strong hair and I haven't got any issues in terms of burning. Interestingly, when I do it with a hairdresser who I trust, love, know very well, it burns because they pull, you know, sometimes they forget and they're just so harsh, and that's another thing. Sometimes they do little cuts, you know, with the comb, and they're pulling on there, and then you can get an irritation. So in between, I sometimes do it myself. That's because the ones you buy off the shelf are slightly milder, so I'll bleach and take up what I kind of know what I'm doing. I'm not going to leave it on. And the ones in the shop also, there's a time limit on them. You know, they're going to not be as strong as what the hairdressers use. So that's the slight difference with it.
Thank you. And can we have one more question from the floor?
We've got a question at the back here. I know there were some ladies that wanted to ask some questions at the front, but this one's in relation to working out. Can you tell us what your thoughts are?
Hi, I just wanted to know what you would say is the best hair care for women of colour that tends to work out, because I find that whenever I go to the gym, afterwards the sweat tends to change the texture of my hair and it becomes a bit more brittle, and even though I would use some of the oils and water mix, I just don't find that it has the same lustre as it did as if I didn't work out.
I'd like to take this one because I want to just blow one of the myths. It's often said that our hair shouldn't be washed too often. So often people wash their hair once a week when they come and see me, and they always say proudly, no, I don't wash it often. Sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's 3 weeks. You can wash your hair as often as you like, or what suits your hair. I wash my hair every day or every other day. I do that because it's short and it's easy to maintain, yeah, and I'll wet it in between. If I'm going out in the evening, I'll do it again. The only thing that can moisten hair is water. Everything else sits on the hair shaft. So when you put your oils on, if you washed it, the hair swells, and then the moisturiser that you're using then absorbs into the hair shaft. If you're not washing your hair, what you've got is the cuticles closed and the hair oil sits on top of the hair. So I would advocate, if you're doing an exercise routine and you can fit it into your routine, because you know it's not practical if you've got braids in, but you could still go under the shower and just rinse it. I would say wash your hair. Yeah.
Thank you.
I can see the hands itching because they're just said because of washing. Yeah.
Thank you. We do, just because of time, we do have to end the discussion, but anyone is welcome to speak to any of the panelists afterwards. I just want to thank Elle. Okay, one more question.
Your hand was tired, right? She's like, please, somebody help me. Go on, please.
I'm fascinated to hear the practicalities of the questions that people are asking, but I've relocated from New York, last October. So now I'm here permanently. I sound funny because I grew up here originally, but I've lived in New York for years. And I've got an observation, and then I'm just opening up a question that I'd like to, not necessarily, if we can't go on here on the panel, but I'd like to open it up for participants, because I'm curious. It's just that since being here, it seems that a lot of people are wearing weaves. I don't see natural hair. I'm so happy to see this whole room of people with natural hair. Natural hair, however they wear it. But it seems like out in the street, when I'm out and about, I'm seeing a lot of weaves, and I'm wondering, I'm just curious about why that is. The second part, that's an observation. The second part of what I want to sort of put out there is, I think now in the States people are comfortable enough that however you wear your hair, I mean I'm only natural about 2 years now, however you wear your hair is just how you choose to do it. But I'm wondering here whether people are feeling it's, because a lot of people are wearing weaves, even more so than seeing relaxed hair, do you feel you're making a political statement somehow? Do you feel that you're, that people are not accepting of how you're wearing your hair here? Because this is the most people with natural hair I've seen since October that I've been living here.
Okay, I'll answer this because I have natural hair. I don't wear weaves, but sometimes I wear wigs. And I'm not sure if anyone has heard of the term hair hat. And basically, sometimes you want to change up your hairstyles. And for example, we were speaking earlier on about the product which makes your hair go from natural to straight for a period of 6 weeks. Well, I'm not a fan of heat. I've not used heat in my hair for the longest time. So if I do want to wear my hair straight, I would prefer to wear a wig. And so that might be the reason why. I'm not one of those women with natural hair who would say, oh, just because someone wears a weave or because they're wearing a wig, how they're not natural. So I just think it depends on the day of the week, your preference, and also the environment that you live in as well, because it might just be the area that you live in that you see a lot of people where they're wearing a lot of weaves or wigs, and it's a slow progression of when people are going natural as well and realising that they are beautifully and wonderfully made as well. Does anyone on the panel want to add?
I kind of did a video about this on my channel called Anti-Weave. I'm not anti-weave. I understand people have their reasons why they wear it. I've noticed what you just said about influence of, or should say influx of weaves. It does come down to influence. There are not a lot of people in the media who are popular that actually wear their natural hair how it is. And I'm talking about more of the younger generation, so I'm talking about people that are like under 18 downwards. They don't have anybody that looks like them naturally on TV or in magazines. And I had an issue with this for a very long time because I've always been natural, and I've questioned the hair magazines about this because it's like, I've been in magazines for years, where am I? I'm not in here. And you are a black hair magazine, but there's no black hair. They said it came down to supply and demand. Nobody was demanding it, which I think is a very cop-out answer. And it is. And I think when it comes to the weave, I would rather see a lot more people with the curlier texture if you're going to wear a wig or a weave, rather than the straight. But I think it comes down to what people are influenced by. If that's all you're seeing, that's all that's being read to you, and all you've been told is that is what is supposed to look hot, that is, because what I have noticed as well, when these girls have the weaves, they have new mannerisms with the hair. They're flicking it a certain way, and they're stroking it a certain way, and I'm like, when your hair's straight, you don't stroke your hair. Like, they're seeing people, if you notice, Nicki Minaj always does this with her weave. People are starting to do this now with their weave because they're seeing certain celebrities do that, and I don't think you can get influenced, you know, without knowing that you're doing it, and that's what's happening. You're seeing, girls are more likely to say to you, my hair's Brazilian, than to say that my hair's naturally curly, when the hair doesn't come from Brazil. So it's about mindset. People need to, you know, I think it starts from young. If you tell your children that they're beautiful no matter what they have, you know, because I feel that when I was in school, I felt like I was fighting the cause for natural hair. I'm being serious. I had fights and arguments and debates about this in school. And up to this day, people still say to me, you still ain't straightened your hair yet? You still ain't run natural hair yet? And I'm big 26. So I don't understand in that, you know, set. But when it comes to weaves, I think each to their own. But I think a lot of people don't understand why they're getting a weave. They're just doing it for fashion. They're not really doing it because, you know, it's a thing of, oh, I want my hair underneath my hair's growing, because everyone has to say protective style, but they don't actually know what a protective style is. So I think it comes down to, there's a lot of reasons, and we could go back and forth, there's health issues, but I have noticed it myself. And I think what I find very interesting is the fact that you said New York, because when I go to New York a lot, I see a lot of weaves out there, but I think it's all come down to what we see differently. I think when you're in the natural hair community, you are more likely to spot the natural in the crowd rather than spot the weave in the crowd. So I think it just comes down to perception and how we see it. But I do understand what you're saying because I have seen it myself.
Could I just say something? This is me, by the way. I've just, you know, this has all been very stimulating. I've just got something that I'd like to add, the host, you know, walking around and stuff. But off the back of what you were saying, in regards to weaves and extensions and things like that, you know, each and everyone to their own. I think it's very difficult to pass judgment on someone not knowing what their journey is, what their story is. Nobody knows if someone's gone through health issues or might be suffering from alopecia or anything like that underneath their weave. And I think, you know, it's difficult at the same time because people are strong about going natural and having that view of a more healthier lifestyle. But I think somebody could be natural underneath a weave, but they just can't wear their hair out for whatever health reasons or whatever confidence issues that they might have within. But I think it's a case of just being educated about it, knowing where you can look to for resources, for information about learning to care for your hair in the most healthy way, and also respecting other people's journeys and not having a huge criticism towards that, because then that is a negative reflection as well, like within relationships amongst ourselves. So that's my view on things. I just had to get it out. Right.
Thank you. Brilliant view.
Okay.
Just one more answer from Shirley, and then we'll move on.
I agree with both of you entirely, and even more so with the second, because many people that come into the clinic who have been wearing weaves, younger girls, and I ask them about their hair, they don't actually like their hair. That's the starting point, and that's really worrying. And I've recently been asked to do a research with somebody else, to write something, to find out why, particularly young black women, the thing about weaves, we respect their decision, and I know it's about how you want to look, but there is something going on when a lot of these young girls will not even give their hair a break in between. They have to physically sit in the chair and have it put back in straight away with no rest in between, because they don't like their hair. So something else is happening there, and hopefully in another year or so we'll start work on that research, and we're going to find out, well, try and find out what's going on.
Thank you.
Sorry to cut you, it's just a quick thing. I think there's a lot of people sharing a lot of opinions here.
Yeah.
Although we're going to be going into a break shortly, I think if you guys are really passionate about discussing these things, you can of course sit down in here, discuss it amongst yourself. I'm pretty sure everyone's kind of a bit more open to talking about things now. I think that would be quite a positive, encouraging conversation that you guys can have amongst yourself. So there is teas and coffees and stuff outside. You can go and grab one, come back in. But there's going to be so much more left of the event itself. I think Bridget wanted to say one thing, if that's okay.
Just agreeing with Shirley as well, because in terms of some of the work we do at BHR, we work with quite a few young women who seem to have identity issues, and it's not just the weave, sometimes it's the skin colour and the bleaching which seem to go together. The lighter the hair, the lighter the skin, the lighter the foundation, the brighter the eyeshadows, and for some of them, when you begin to talk to them, they don't actually like what's natural about them. So there is a massive issue there, or an issue which maybe needs research, or there's a level of affirmation from some of us as older women that they need to be affirmed, that they are beautiful as they are. You know, as well as some do wear their wigs as hats. You know, I've got friends that will say that as soon as they get in, they got the hat off and it's a wig. Because again, it's easier. Some of us do it for convenience. It is a convenient statement rather than, I'm not sure if it's a political statement. It is, but there seems to be a generation that are struggling with their natural look and actually managing what's natural about them. So yeah, just to actually concur with Shirley.
Thank you so much, everybody, for participating in the debate.
We've got one more.
We really can't due to time. We can't, but everybody can discuss between themselves, and we're welcome to speak to any of the panelists afterwards as well. We're going to have Hairfinity up next for the next few minutes, and we're going to cut the break, if everyone's okay with that, to 10 minutes rather than 15. Sorry, rather than 45?
That's perfect.
Would anyone like a 45-minute break? Okay, do you want to have the one question then?
Yeah, let's go back to her. She waited so patiently, you know.
I'll be really, really quick. I know you're under time constraints. I don't, personally, with my experience of young people, I don't think it's a need or a want to look European or have straight hair. I think it's the fact that they don't know what to do with their own hair. So us criticising and saying they want to look this or they want to look that or they're copying Nicki Minaj, I think it's a means to an end for a lot of people as opposed to wanting to look a certain way. I wear my hair natural, and girls come up to me all the time and say, your hair looks beautiful, I love it, and they're there with their weaves, and I say, your hair can look exactly the same. And they'll say, no, my hair won't go like that. And it will. So it's up to generations to educate these girls as to how to wear their hair. And I think it's as simple as that, really.
I would add to that actually, because my family's big, like most of our families might be, and there's a lot of females in my family, and when I went natural, they were horrified because it was the middle of October and they thought I had a Britney Spears moment without the madness. But basically now, without me preaching to them to go natural, a lot of them have gone natural, and a lot of them also, with their natural hair, wear weaves. And one of them is going to be doing a big chop this summer as well. So I do really agree with you that it's not always about the European look. Sometimes it is for fashion, but it's not always a psychological matter as well. It just depends, because it's not really as black and white as it seems. So shall we move on? Nisi, is that okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so guys, if you can just put your hands together for our fantastic panellists. We have Desmond Murray, Shirley McDonald, Elle from Natural Hair Daily, Rachel from UKnaturals, and of course our co-event host, Rena Bess. Okay.